Guys, and welcome back to Mama to Two Howeries. This is part 4 of debunking the UK's factual findings of Amber's 30th birthday. We've got her over here crying, and well, we know that she can't keep calm because it's her birthday and her 30th at that, and it's all very and very important. So let's see why. Alright, we are going to start with this stuff, and the video is about her hurt feelings and seeming to be more upset about this than anything else, because we do know she has abandonment issues and she sees leaving and fleeing as abuse. She thinks it makes things worse. She'd rather duke it out, and Johnny doesn't want to do that. She talks about herself being open and friendly, and if this has been open and friendly, I don't want to see what else is worse than this, if this is friendly. Also, she goes into talking about him being gone, which his mother had been sick and he had been going to kind of take care of her and spend time with her while she has been ill, and seeing her trip ups, and then her also saying exactly what Johnny says. And it seems like it's everything that Johnny actually went through. She is spinning it to that is what she went through, but doesn't have things to back it up. So let's get this started.
Johnny and I, when we made it back to our apartment, I was being cold to him. I wasn't being I wasn't being as, open or friendly as I normally am. I was crushed that he missed my birthday, and this is after a month of him not coming home, like on average 5 nights a week, just not showing up, or showing up at like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, or at like 8 o'clock in the morning. I'd find out that he was passed out at one of the other places in West Hollywood. So it had been building up, and so Johnny and I, when we made it back to our apartment, I was being cold to him. I wasn't being I wasn't being as, open or friendly as I normally am. I was crushed that he missed my birthday, and this is after a month of him not coming home, like on average 5 nights a week, just not showing up, or showing up at like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, or at like 8 o'clock in the morning. I'd find out that he was passed out at one of the other places in West Hollywood. So it had been building up, and so the birthday incident was heartbreaking. It was my 30th birthday, and I just was sad about it. So he asked me, we got in bed, and I was just being quiet. I think I picked up my book and tried to read, and he said, "What's your fucking problem?" And I said, "I'm just hurt." And I had been seeing this, I've been trying to get us to see a marriage counselor who said that that's how I should word things, as opposed to being accusatory. And I said, "I'm just hurt that you didn't make it to my birthday party." And then he walks out. I tried to actually, even at that point, say, "Don't walk out. Like, maybe we just need to talk about it. Can we just take a break? And then just talk, because it's my birthday, and I don't want to wake up on my birthday we've had a million of these fights. It's just don't, like, I just don't want to wake up on my birthday by myself. Don't. Go, please, even though it had gotten violent. This is nothing compared to so many of the other things. It actually wouldn't even be a major thing if it weren't one of the just most recent. This is not a bad thing. I mean, it wasn't bad in my head in relation to what.
So it wasn't bad in her head compared to the million things that they have been through. And I don't know why this wasn't that big of a deal. And to her, this didn't seem like such a big deal. And in comparison to Australia, yeah, I guess this was nothing. And so, why was this what made him walk away for a month? Because all of her anger had built up from him not coming home and him leaving her, not, being there all these nights and stuff. And, it's her 30th birthday. Forget that he's lost a bunch of money and he's in this business meeting. And that this money has been stolen from him. It's about me and my 30th birthday. Well, he kind of needs all this money because of all of her expenses and paying for all of her friends to stay there for free. She kind of needs him to take care of his money business meeting. So it's very interesting. Moving on. Okay. Here is the ECB floor plan so that we can kind of get a view of what everything looks like. We have in Penthouse 1, Josh and Raquel or Rocky Pennington. Then in Penthouse 2, we have Isaac Baruch. He stayed in this one for a little bit and then moved to another one of Johnny's properties. Penthouse 3, we have Boo and Pistol represented because of Poopgate. And this is also Johnny and Amber's penthouse that they stayed in. Penthouse 4, Whitney, Amber's sister, stayed in this one at one time. And apparently, according to a deposition, Lily Rose and her boyfriend Ash stayed in this penthouse at one point as well. I do not know the age of them when they stayed here or any of that. I don't know if Ash actually stayed over or if he just was there all the time or what the situation was, but according to Amber, they had stayed in this one as well, and you'll see why they come into play and they get mentioned. And then Penthouse 5 is Amber's closet. The whole penthouse. Wouldn't we all love to have a whole entire penthouse dedicated as a closet? Like, I would be okay with it being like a closet and an office or something. And then you also have like a bathroom and stuff and all of that good stuff in there. So this is kind of the layout. And then let's get an interactive view. Now this video is done by Incredibly Average, and he did this amazing 3D layout. And this is his little video. Definitely go check out his channel. He's the one who I'm getting the deposition clips from. They are releasing the new one. It should be sometime this weekend. And it's the final part of the deposition, but definitely go subscribe over there, information below. And here is the cool look of it. So we've got the bottom floor. And then he is going to add the upstairs to it all. Isn't that cool? That's so crazy. I don't know how to do any of that. I would love to know how, but I cannot find the time for it. So there we have a look at the ECB. Potatoes of this video, factual findings of the UK High Court. Depp abuses Miss Heard at her 30th birthday celebration in Los Angeles on April 21st, 2016. It is said that Mr. Depp threw a magnum-sized bottle of champagne at Miss Heard. Well, we all know that everything has to be a magnum or a mega. Was it a mega-sized champagne, or is a magnum the same size as a mega, or is it bigger? Inquiring minds would like to know. He also apparently grabbed her by the hair, which in our last part we know that hair grabbing is something that apparently he likes to do. Pushed her to the ground, scraping her knees on broken glass while further pushing and shoving her. Pushed her on a bed and bumped his chest with hers, causing her to fall back down to the bed, and physically prohibited Miss Heard from leaving the room while he assaulted her. So remember some of these things, because her words don't necessarily match up to some of this stuff. Let's check it out. Here we have a clip of Amber talking about her knowing why he was inebriated and high. And in the beginning, it is very annoying because Blair Burke asks Amber about the statements and if they were true, and she says yes 2 different times, and then Blair tells her she can't hear her, and she says yes a 3rd time, but it's like even softer than the first 2 times, like yes. That was annoying. But let's watch this and see what else we need to talk about on it.
Statements you made in your declaration were true, were truthful. Yes?
Yes.
I can't hear you.
Yes.
Okay. And
Hear that?
in your declaration, you make allegations about something that happened, you say, on April 21, 2016. Does that sound familiar?
It sounds familiar, yes.
Okay. Do you remember April 21, 2016?
What part of that day?
Any of the events that you think are significant?
I remember my birthday party dinner, and I remember
I'm not asking you what you remember right now. I'm asking you, do you remember the events? Are they clear in your mind?
I remember any specific events.
Any events related to these allegations you've made?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Heard, in your declaration, do you say that Johnny, and I'm pointing you so you can be very clear, paragraph 7 of the declaration. Do you say statements you made in your declaration were true?
Yes.
Were truthful? Yes?
Yes.
I can't hear you.
Yes.
Okay. And in your declaration, you make allegations about something that happened, you say, on April 21, 2016. Does that sound familiar?
It sounds familiar, yes.
Okay. Do you remember April 21, 2016?
What part of that day?
Any of the events that you think are significant?
I remember my birthday party dinner, and I remember
I'm not asking you, I'm sorry, I'm not asking you what you remember right now. I'm asking you, do you remember the events? Are they clear in your mind?
I remember any specific events.
Any events related to these allegations you've made?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Ms. Heard, in your declaration, do you say that Johnny, and I'm pointing you so you can be very clear, paragraph 7 of the declaration. Do you say in your sworn declaration, Johnny showed up inebriated and high in that declaration?
Let me find it. Yeah, I do, yes.
And when you say he showed up inebriated high and high in your declaration, to what are you referring to? What time of the day and what day are you referring to?
She knows it's not a different draft.
Which question are you asking?
She's just being difficult.
Are you asking me?
Let me be clear. Let me be clear.
Thank you.
Do you swear in your declaration and state that on April 21, 2016, I celebrated my birthday with my friends at the Broadway residence?
Yes, I do say that in my declaration.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Do you also say in your declaration, quote, as everyone was preparing to leave my birthday party, Johnny showed up inebriated and high?
Wait.
Yeah. Yes, I do say that.
Okay. What time did Johnny show up inebriated and high to the birthday party?
I don't remember the exact time.
Okay.
But I do remember it was after the dinner had been completed.
Okay. And
Nobody thought you were
so your
Johnny.
statement that he showed up inebriated high as everyone was preparing to leave my birthday party is truthful, correct?
Why are you repeating high? I don't have that on here. Maybe we have different drafts.
Wait.
Yeah. Just twice now. I was just making sure we had the same draft. Can you repeat it, please?
Are you looking at paragraph 7?
Yes, can you repeat your question,
Yes.
please?
Do you make the statement in paragraph 7, as everyone was preparing
Yes, she
to
knows it
leave
very
my
well.
birthday
As you
party,
should know
Johnny
your
showed
husband
up,
very well.
comma, inebriated and high?
Yes.
You do make that statement?
Yes.
Okay. So that statement is true, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
To the best of my knowledge.
Well, were you there?
Yes, I was.
Did you see him when he arrived?
Yes.
Is it your testimony he was inebriated and high?
Yes, it is my testimony.
Is that the truth?
As far as I could tell, yes.
Okay.
I am not Johnny, so
Okay. Tell me exactly what you observed in Johnny Depp when he first arrived at your birthday party that made you conclude that he was inebriated and high.
because I know Johnny. I know Johnny very well.
Can you describe for us anything and everything you saw when you saw Johnny, who you know, that made you conclude he was inebriated and high?
What gave me the impression that Johnny was inebriated and high?
Okay, I'm going to pause right here for a minute. He's been away because his mom has been sick. So he has gone and spent time with his mother at another one of his properties where he has his mom set up so that his mother can be closer to Johnny so that the kids could be closer. He could make sure she's being taken care of. Even after everything she put him through as a child, he had her set up in one of his homes while she was older and sicker. And then if we take from this point her birthday, let's go a few weeks prior, because she said a few weeks prior, at least a week, to towards the end of May, where his mother had passed away, a month and a half. So yes, he was at another place. He was visiting with his mother because she was sick. She also messaged him, or he also messaged her and told her, I have this business meeting, because he's meeting with his new financial people after his old financial people had stole millions of dollars from him. She knew that about this meeting. He kept in contact with her throughout this meeting. So that is why he was late. She knew he was going to be late, and he kept in contact with her. It wasn't oh, I don't know where he's been, and this is a habit. He's been doing this. No. And then the walking in with a wine bottle. If you've watched the trial or anything like that, you know that she sent a text to him saying, hey baby, could you bring up a bottle of wine and a joint? She asked him to bring the wine bottle up. But because he has wine in his hand, it means he's inebriated and high. So, for those of you who have a wine bottle in your hand, just know that in Amber's eyes, you are inebriated. Alright, let's continue.
Many things. I know him very well.
Okay. So
First-
yes, go ahead. I'd like you to describe them, so please do.
Describing the things that give me the impression that Johnny is or was inebriated and high. First and foremost, he was
He's also an
hours late.
older man. They have problems using the restroom.
I don't want to guess, but I estimate 2 hours. Could be a little more. That's a first sign. Knowing how important someone's 30th birthday party, your wife's birthday party is, and being that late tells me, first and foremost, that he is out. When he's out, as he had been a lot in the months prior, he spent a lot of time drinking and doing a lot of cocaine. I know that because of how he would return home after these kinds of dinners. So he comes back, and I could tell by, first of all, that he had wine in his hand. I could tell by his speech nuances and his behavior, and getting up every 15 minutes to go to the bathroom is, in my experience with him, a telltale sign of his coke use, which had been a problem as of late. And then he disappeared quickly. His behavior is just aggressive, short fuse. I could tell he was using a lot of Adderall in the month prior, which was making him very aggressive towards me, aggressive towards criticism, and
Confrontational.
paranoia, which is extremely. It's exacerbated when he's using a lot of when he's smoking a lot of marijuana. So all of these things, plus the fact that he was smoking marijuana in front of me at some point at the night, all tell me he was under the influence.
Ms. Hurd, I asked, my question to you was, what signs did you see when he first arrived that Johnny Depp was as you say, inebriated and high when you first saw him come in that evening?
I could tell he was inebriated and high when he entered the room. I could tell by how he walks. I could tell because he was so late to something that was very important.
Okay, so he was, just to be clear, he was late and how he was walking.
Not limited to those two things.
Okay.
Shall I continue?
Well-
Or do you want me to just pretend that that interruption was done? Like that was it?
I'm not intending to interrupt you. I just
Oh,
wanted to be
okay.
clear
There was
what you
more.
said. Please continue.
His behavior, his speech.
She did not
speech
answer the
patterns,
kissing question.
His highly volatile, aggressive kind of reaction to physically, the small, intimate details you pick up on when you know someone really well. They were all tilted into the direction of somebody who was under the influence of the things I just mentioned.
Okay. So at the time you saw him enter your birthday party, from the way he was, fact that he was late, way that he was walking, his speech patterns, and those things you can intuit from his behavior, you believed, as you said,
No.
that he was inebriated and high, correct?
Not to mention his frequent the frequent trips to the
But I
bathroom.
thought the party was ending and they were leaving.
Taste of cocaine when I kissed him. Kind of the small intimate behaviors that you pick up on when you're sitting next to someone.
Okay. When did you first kiss him, Miss Hurd?
You interrupted her.
Oh, I'm sorry.
A makeup artist.
I
A
guess
nurse.
what other things do I think were signs that he was inebriated and high? Aggression, lack of eye contact, subtle nuances in his behavior, and the fact that he didn't participate in a way that I have seen him participate socially in my birthday. We were, the small subtle things, and they became grossly amplified as soon as everyone started leaving the party.
How many people were there when you saw Johnny arrive?
I don't know the exact number.
Can you identify anyone
throws
else
her
there
sister
when you
under the
saw
bus.
Johnny arrive?
Do I know who was at my birthday party? Is that what you mean?
No, I mean, can you identify for us anybody else who was present when you saw Johnny arrive?
And this was in the
We all
end
saw
of
Johnny
April and
arrive.
it's August,
Everybody at my
so
party did.
she
Can you
doesn't remember the
identify for
boyfriend's
us
name.
who was that?
He must
Who
have
were
been
those
really,
people were?
really short.
Yes, they were my close friends and family.
By name?
I know Melanie Iglesias was there, Erin Borum, her partner, Melanie's partner. His name is Steve. I don't know his last name. My sister, a boyfriend of hers at the time.
Name?
They were just dating briefly. His name was, what was his name?
That's her acting coach.
I'll think of it. Whitney, new boyfriend every few months.
Your sister has a new boyfriend every few months.
This one was, what was his name? I forget his name right now, but I'll think of it.
Okay. Could you let us know, maybe give your attorneys that so they can let us know?
Absolutely.
Great. Anyone else present when you saw Johnny give these symptoms that you described?
Let's see. Josh Drew, Raquel Pennington, Amanda DeCadney, there's somebody else there. I feel like, Brandon McCulloch. And I think that's it. I could, if I'm forgetting anyone, it's just, I don't know. I don't think I'm forgetting anyone.
Okay. when Johnny first arrived, where was everybody in the apartment? Had there been guests?
Oh, Christy
guess-
Sexton.
Christy Sexton. Is that Sexton?
Okay.
Okay. When Johnny first arrived, you say approximately 2 hours late. Was there any of these people still in the apartment?
Yes.
Okay. Where were they?
Who?
Any of these people? Were they all gathered in one location?
I think we were more or less milling about, cleaning up plates from dinner, moving about the apartment.
Okay. So Johnny wasn't present when you were still eating at the table?
You knew I was
Some
late.
people might have still had their plates
sure he
in front of them. I
apologized
don't
many
know to what
times.
extent they had finished,
Okay.
because there's more than one person.
Okay. When you described one of the
Aggressive,
signs you saw when you
dismissive,
arrived
she
that
felt
convinced
ignored,
you that
no
he
eye
was inebriated
contact.
and high, and you mentioned his aggression. Could you
don't
describe
know that
exactly
being
what you
ignored,
saw
no eye
that made
contact.
you feel
That
you were
is
witnessing aggression?
considered aggressive?
Subtle, and it
I
was
don't
in
think
regards
that's true.
to whisperings between him and I. As soon as
Look
I
how
was sitting
happy
next
she
to
is
an
about
empty
her
chair
having
my
a
entire
driver.
birthday dinner, and when he walked in, everyone kind of responded to the fact that there's this empty chair next to me that the whole night had just been awaiting to be filled. And so I think when he sat down, he kind of it was in his posture, it was in his body language, it was in how he reacted to me, what he said and what he didn't say to me. You know, the normal behavior is to say happy birthday, or sorry I'm late, or whatever. And he was quiet and subtly short with me. And when we spoke, it was very curt and dismissive and quiet and defensive.
Ms. Hurd, let me just remind myself for a second. I had asked you before our break to retrieve your cell phone from the car at the break. Did you do that? Were you able to do that?
I didn't bring it with me. I'm sorry.
You did not bring your cell phone?
No.
So it was not in the car?
No.
Did you check? You checked the car?
No, I asked. I asked
Asked
Rodrigo. I asked them to ask Rodrigo, and
Who's Rodrigo?
my driver.
Okay. Does Rodrigo know where your personal possessions are?
Look,
I don't have
we're,
anything
we're
in
not
the car,
required
he
to.
said.
Let me just interjection. We're not required to produce a telephone, so we're not going to do it.
Ms. Hurd, did you have any idea, did you have any knowledge at the time Johnny showed up to
It's
your
all
birthday
about
party
her
late,
and her
where
birthday.
he had
Nothing else
been?
is more important than her
He told
30th
me
birthday.
He was in a meeting, or he had a meeting.
Did you have any awareness with who?
No.
You had no awareness as to who it was with?
No, he said some money guys. Some guys that were helping him, or some money guys. That's all he said.
Okay. And did you have any communications with him earlier in the evening about his being delayed or why he was late?
No, but I do remember, not that I know of specifically, but I do remember speaking to him on the phone in the afternoon, and I said to him, do you know you do know the time, and it's at 8 or whatever, I think 8:30, and he said, okay, well, I just have a meeting at 7 or something, and I remember thinking to myself, it sounded a little tricky, but you know, it'd be really important I'd really appreciate you being there. You are coming, right? It's my birthday dinner. And he said, yeah, of course, yeah.
How many times did you call him during this period?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay. Did you text him as well?
I don't remember. I'm sure I did, but that's a guess.
Don't guess.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Justify by
Showing you
know.
what will be marked as respondents L.
K, I believe.
No, it's a, you missed
Oh, I'm
K.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, before I do that, Miss Hurd, let me be clear. Were you upset by the idea that he would show up to your birthday party drunk and high? Did that upset you?
That he was drunk and high?
Yes.
Yes, I would call it disappointed.
Okay. And did you approve of him drinking alcohol?
No.
Was that something you supported?
Did I support Johnny drinking alcohol?
Yes.
No.
And did you support Johnny drinking alcohol during this specific time, April 21, 2016?
I was disappointed and disheartened anytime I saw him drinking, but it was not a deal breaker, oh my God, I'm walking away from you in this relationship, as it had been in many iterations of our relationship, when he would promise to get sober and clean, and then by the first drink would be a huge fight, and it would, yeah.
Okay. Are you finished?
Yes.
Okay.
If you-
And so I'm assuming it would be true that you didn't encourage him to drink while he was at the party that night, correct?
Are you asking me if I encouraged him to drink?
Yes, alcohol.
So, yeah, there was a lot to unpack there. She is not in support. She does not support or encourage him to, except for to send a message to him saying, hey. Her saying that he's aggressive, but he's ignoring her. All of that stuff. There's just a lot there that does not completely make sense. Okay, let's see what she has to say about after the arrival.
Once Johnny arrived, what did he do?
He walked in the door.
Okay, what did he do next?
I don't remember what his next move was, but eventually he sat down next to me.
Okay. Do you know how long it was before he sat beside you?
No, I don't remember.
Do you remember anything that happened at the party between the time Johnny arrived and the time the last guest had left? Once Johnny arrived, what did
Seriously, what do you want me to tell you?
what did he do?
He walked in the door.
Okay, what did he do next?
I don't remember what his next move was, but eventually he sat down next to me.
Okay. Do you know how long it was before he sat beside you?
No, I don't remember.
Do you remember anything that happened at the party between the time Johnny arrived and the time the last guest had left?
Yes.
Okay. Please tell us
Tell you what.
what you remember.
About the party after he arrived?
Anything of significance that you feel is
I don't
significant
think he ever pretended, because he told
these
you.
proceedings from the time he arrived till the time the last guest left that evening.
I remember when he eventually sat down. I remember his behavior seemed odd, as I described before. He seemed, he didn't make any eye contact with me. He seemed to be shifty, avoidant of talking about why he pretended that he wasn't late or that it was not something I could respond to or would have felt. He was shifty. He was kind of curt. My friends went around the table. Everyone was trying to talk to him, and he was not communicative. He was he was communicating in a way that I guess if you know him, you recognize as odd. And we went around the table and we talked about we talked about significant memories that he and I might have shared. We talked about significant memories that everyone has of me, and Johnny didn't want to participate.
That's why you had to go to the bathroom so much.
And I thought that was really strange. And then Raquel prompted him to speak. And when he finally did speak, he didn't know what to say. And Raquel helped him out by offering a story that he has told before.
Maybe he
that
doesn't
is
have any good
kind of
memories
sweet
anymore
and
of her.
endearing, and he couldn't really. He stumbled through it and then talked about my ass.
Keep
Talked about me
mentioning
being
30th birthday.
young and him being old. And everyone at the party started to kind of look a little uncomfortable, and my friend Amanda looked at me and mouthed the words, "I'm sorry." And when he was done talking, Raquel, I grabbed Raquel's hand, squeezed it, and said,
So she does not remember if he had a joint or not, but she says he has a joint all the time. And she just keeps hounding, it's my 30th birthday, it's my 30th birthday. He should have known how important it was to me. And I'm sure he did. It wasn't like he was out there missing it on purpose. So that is something. But I don't get how she is not understanding about this, because sometimes business stuff comes up, and especially when you are trying to figure out about money issues, it definitely comes up. And that's how he pays for all of her stuff. So you would think that she would want to make sure that his money is all good and everything, but apparently not.
Do drugs on special occasions, right, Ms. Heard?
I have before.
And you did drugs again for your 30th birthday, right?
That is correct. That was a huge mistake.
I am sorry the
30th birthday
mouths
dinner
are
was
not
on
syncing
April
with
21st,
words on this
2016.
particular clip.
Yes, it was the day before my birthday, correct.
You testified that Mr. Depp was running late to the celebration, correct?
That is correct.
You asked Mr. Depp to bring you alcohol when he arrived, is that right?
So the utility closet where we kept the wine was right by the elevators, and I also told him he could bring in a joint. I wouldn't bite his head off if he did.
So that's a yes.
That's correct. I told him I wouldn't be angry.
Let's look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 1263.
Okay, so she says here that she did ingest drugs on her birthday, and that was one time that she had taken them and was around Johnny. And her reasoning for explaining the text message, which, remember what all she says, because in another part in her deposition, things are going to be a little bit different. Now let's see what she has to say about the text message she sent to Johnny on her birthday and explain it away.
Ms. Heard, did you have a chance to look at those?
I did.
That two-page text, Respondent L?
yes.
Okay. Did you send that text to Mr. Depp on April 21 at 9:40?
I don't remember sending that.
Did you communicate with Johnny Depp during the evening of April 21 and ask him how he was doing?
I don't remember sending these specifically.
Okay.
Do you have any? At 9:40.
Does not go with the narrative of being late if your party started at 9?
Yeah. Okay. I'm assuming I sent these because it says Slim, and that's probably me.
Slim is you? Okay. And Ms. Hurd, did you have a chance to look at those?
I did.
That 2-page text, Respondent's L?
Yes.
Okay. Did you send that text to Mr. Depp on April 21 at 9:40?
I don't remember sending that.
Did you communicate with Johnny Depp during the evening of April 21 and ask him how he was doing?
I don't remember sending these specifically.
Okay.
Do you have any? At 9:40.
There's an idea. Don't take it as fact.
Yeah. Okay. I'm assuming I sent these because it says Slim, and that's probably me.
Slim is you? Okay. And is it true, I just want to know, is it true, that prior to Johnny arriving at the party, you sent him a text that said, quote, "Hey baby, bring up something to drink and or a joint"? Did you say that to him?
It says that I sent that to him. I don't remember
She's
what
asking
context
for
it was.
somebody else.
Do you deny saying that to him by text prior to his arrival at the party?
No, I am not denying that. I'm just saying I don't remember having done it.
Okay.
I don't remember every text message in the context of which it is. For instance, I know that if he's, just an idea, the context matters, and there are many other people at that party whom might be asking for joints that he would be. There are a lot of people at the party that would have asked or appreciated him bringing up a joint or a drink, and could have been asking for one of our other guests, not Johnny. And I'm looking at this and assuming I was asking on behalf of a particular person at the party, or particular couple of people at the party,
Is it your testimony
not for
now-
him.
You were asking him to bring up a drink for someone else at the party?
When he had still not been home, and when you get off the elevator, you pass you pass the utility closet, the utility apartment. And inside that utility apartment is a wine cellar and a lot of other things. And so I'm sure I was asking him to bring in something for someone else, because those are very common. And at this stage in our relationship, that was not one of those walk away if you're drinking iterations of our relationship. We've been through many cycles where any sort of drug use would have been a deal breaker, walk away, never again, I'm not doing this again. It's evidenced in many text
That is
conversations over the
nobody's
years
actual
that
guess.
you guys hopefully have between many different people in his life, from his best friends to his sister to his house manager to his security to his kids, where those were like deal breaker moments, when he would start using again. And they would sometimes encourage me to leave him to support Johnny's sobriety, or they would, and then sometimes it would be a different iteration of our relationship where I tried to stay out of it and go to Al-Anon and try not to engage in someone's use.
So is it the truth that when you asked him on April 21, 2016, to, quote, bring up something to drink and or a joint, end quote, you were asking him to bring those things for other people,
Because
not
his
him
mother was
to,
sick.
to use, correct?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying I don't remember the context
she
of
is
these text
judging him.
messages, but if I had to guess, that seems like a likely guess. Either way, no matter if it was in reference to bringing up something from the utility apartment that he would have passed if he truly was on the way home soon and would be passing on the way there, or if it was a means for me to say, hey, I'm not going to bite your head off if you come here. Please just don't flake on my birthday party. Either way, I don't remember.
Okay, but either way, it's true that you did not, on April 21, encourage Johnny himself to drink or do drugs, correct?
Not directly, no.
Okay.
And I don't feel like that text message is that at all. Could be just hey dude, I'm not gonna be mad at you just because you're high and drunk. Please just don't flake on my birthday party.
He did it, so I
He'd
did
stay
it.
out a lot these days and avoid coming home, and I was afraid that in part of that was because he felt I would be judgmental of
She
the
doesn't
state he
know
arrived
what
in.
a phone case is.
So
or
you
a wallet
testified
phone
earlier
case
that you
is.
did not delete any text from your cell phone, correct, relating to these events,
Not
correct?
that night.
And these texts that we're talking about would still be on your cell phone, correct?
No, because these are from April 21st. This immediately precedes when he threw my phone out of the window. It's a 14th floor window, and it was smashed. And
Is there some reason to believe you don't still have these texts?
exactly what I just told you.
You don't still have these texts.
For the reason I just told you, my whole cell phone and everything in it was thrown out of the window by Johnny because he was mad at me. It's a 14th floor window. It was smashed.
Did you throw his cell phone out the window?
I did.
Oh,
Right
okay.
after he threw
I
mine.
see. So if
But his was covered in a very protective, thick leather, what do you call it, packaging, wallet thing, and it was protected on both sides. I threw it and then immediately had it retrieved because I felt bad.
Okay.
My phone was out of a cover.
Still
It was just by
doesn't make any
itself, and
sense.
so it was lost and we never found it.
So it's fair to say, and I don't want to put words on the mouth,
Yeah, that's
but
okay.
you didn't feel bad about throwing his phone because it had the protective cover?
Vague and ambiguous. It misstates her testimony.
Yeah, he threw mine out of the window first, and then I threw his.
Drawing your attention back to the text on April 21 that we referred to beginning,
Other
hey
people say
baby,
otherwise.
bring up something to drink and or a joint, 2 question marks. Is it true that you followed that and wrote to him, quote, I'm in if you are?
Yes.
Okay.
I drink
Interesting. That's
wine.
her testimony here. 'cause that
And by
testimony
referring to
changes a
if
bit.
you are, you are specifically saying if you are.
So here she states she had 1 glass of wine and she did no drugs of any kind. Which in front of Camille, she admits to it being one of the times she used drugs in front of Johnny. The only one of 2 times she ever in their whole relationship did drugs in front of him. She said she was asking for somebody else, possibly, because other people would have liked a joint or wine. But usually, if that's your what you're doing, you would say, hey, Rocky or Josh or whoever is wanting to smoke a joint, can you bring it up? You would say, hey, some of the people here want, to partake in some fun stuff. Can you bring some? If you're asking for her to get a bottle of wine just for her, she's going to kind of say it the way she did. I'm in if you are. Well, why would he not be in? If this is something he does all the time, and why would you say that just about somebody bringing up, if it's in regards to the wine, I'm in if you are? It just make sense, because this explanation does not make any sense to me. And there's sentence fragments, and it's just broken up speech. I just don't know what she is talking in circles about.
3 in evidence.
So-
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Heard, directing your attention to the Plaintiff's Exhibit 1263. This is a text message that you sent to Mr. Depp, correct?
That is correct.
And you sent this message to Mr. Depp the day you had your 30th birthday dinner, right?
That is correct.
And you write, quote, "Hey baby, bring up something to drink and or a joint. I'm in if you are. See you in a minute. Question mark. XX." Did I read that right?
That is correct.
And then the next day you went to Coachella and consumed MDMA and mushrooms, right, Ms. Heard?
I did. Johnny was not there for that.
Let's talk a little bit more about your 30th birthday. You testified about this incident multiple times, haven't you?
That is correct.
But yesterday you told this jury that you were not called upon to provide a detailed accounting of all physical and sexual abuse by Mr. Depp until February 2020. Is that correct?
I testified that I had not been able to do so until February 2020 in outside of the context of a cold deposition.
Actually, I misspoke. February 2022, this year.
Right. Sorry, I did the same thing you did.
Okay. And you did that in something called an interrogatory. Is that correct?
The interrogatory response was the first time that I could do that outside of the context of being asked certain questions in a deposition.
And you testified about your 30th birthday in this interrogatory, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Nonetheless, you testified to a new detail about your 30th birthday for the first time in this courtroom, didn't you?
No, that's incorrect.
A sexual assault, no less.
I had just not placed when that happened. I was never sure if that was the same time that he did that on the night of my birthday. And I maintained that as well in my deposition.
You told this jury that the evening of your 30th birthday dinner, Mr. Depp, quote, grabbed you by the pubic area, end quote, pushed you down, right?
That is correct.
This detail isn't in your interrogatory response, is it, Ms. Heard?
That detail is in my interrogatory response, yes.
Let's pull up your interrogatory response. If we could please bring up Ms. Bredehoff. Thank you. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
If we can go to your interrogatory responses at page 57. These are signed under the penalty of perjury, correct?
That is correct.
And you testified again to this jury that this was the first time you were given an opportunity to write down everything and include all your evidence, right?
That is correct.
Okay. So let's go to page 57. At the top of page 57, Johnny and I were not in a good place. I begged him to make my birthday dinner. Do you see that?
That is correct.
Okay, so starting on page 57, you start describing your birthday dinner, correct?
That is correct.
All right. On page 59 of your interrogatory response, you write, fourth paragraph down, Johnny grabbed me while holding me down, and I remember him asking me if I thought I was so tough. He asked me 3-4 times up close to my face, "You're so tough. Are you such a tough guy, huh? You think you're so tough. What are you going to do now?" I stood up at some point after getting off the ground. Do you see that?
That is correct.
And then you write after, I remember crying. I remember feeling exhausted and frustrated. And it hit me, meaning the realization of how sad it was that I was going to wake up tomorrow, my birthday, without him.
That's correct.
Where in this interrogatory response, Ms. Heard, you describe Mr. Depp, quote, grabbing you by the pubic bone, pubic area, and pushing you down?
On page 64.
Where?
Page 64, 1, 2, 3 paragraphs down. Johnny grabbed me once, did this taunting thing on the side of the bed in penthouse 3. He grabbed my vagina and held me there. Asked me if I was so tough.
You're not describing what happened after your 30th birthday?
I am. I just had not prescribed it to that date with the limited evidence I had at the time. Only in the course of looking at the evidence, preparing for this case, have I put those two pieces together. But I've always said what happened.
You were upset that Mr. Depp was late to your 30th birthday, weren't you?
I was.
You knew Mr. Depp had a scheduled business meeting or a money meeting that evening, right?
No, I knew he said he did. I didn't know if he had one. Addicts lie all the time.
So you didn't trust him?
I took it with a big grain of addict salt.
Okay. And Mr. Depp texted you that evening to let you know he'd be late, correct?
Yes, he did text me at some point.
It was a big deal to you that Mr. Depp was late to your birthday dinner, wasn't it?
Yeah, it did matter to me.
And you were upset he was late.
I was hurt.
And when he finally did arrive, you felt, quote, invisible to him, right?
I did.
The day after your birthday dinner, you and your friends went to Coachella to celebrate your birthday. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You made a video driving to Coachella with your friends, didn't you?
That is correct.
Okay, so, the concerning and loving and supportive wife that she was, takes everything with a big grain of addict salt. That's a nice thing to say about an addict and someone who suffers from a disease, and probably adds to it. And so she put this part in her interrogatory. Amber gets some points. These points do not take her out of the negative. They're just a few points, and Camille should have known that that was written in the interrogatory. But it's just very interesting. And the staring at the jurors is creepy. And I wonder if this is her being nice and open and friendly, or if this is her being cold. I'm going to lean more towards cold. All right. This is the Coachella video. I have the sound removed because we will get copyright struck. But look at how happy she is. She doesn't look gloomy. She doesn't look down. Let's watch it again and pay attention to her face and see if you see any bruises and such from that. All looks clear to me. Let's see what she has to say about it.
This is the video you made when you drove to Coachella with your friends for your 30th birthday, right?
That's correct. I'm not quite sure which one of us made the video, but that's correct.
You're featured in that video, driving.
That's correct.
And it's set to the song Miss You by the Rolling Stones, is that right?
That's correct.
That was a message for Mr. Depp, wasn't it?
No, that's ridiculous.
You consumed drugs at Coachella, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And you took MDMA and mushrooms at the same time.
I did, yes.
And it made you feel sick, right?
I felt horrible, yes.
So you left Coachella.
Yes, that's correct.
You testified yesterday that when you left Coachella, you left with, quote, your entire group.
That is correct.
And you were, quote, never alone with Starling, right?
That is correct.
You weren't anywhere near him.
Not alone, no.
You sat here when Starling Jenkins testified that he collected you from Coachella when you were sick, right?
He picked up my entire group.
And Mr. Jenkins testified, quote, I collected her, got her in the vehicle. She didn't want anyone else to know that she was sick. Take her back to the Parker, which I assume was in reference to the hotel, alone. I took her to the 7-Eleven where I retrieved hydrating fluids, Advil, and let her have those. Got her back up to the Parker, got her in the suite, and then went back to pick up everyone else. You were there when Mr. Jenkins testified, right?
Yes, he was wrong.
So it's your testimony that Mr. Jenkins is lying.
He's just wrong. I don't know what his intentions are. He was just wrong about that. We were a big group of us. I wasn't alone with him.
Isn't it possible that you don't remember correctly because
Another
you were sick
person
from
that's
taking
lying.
MDMA and mushrooms at the
No.
same time?
I remember everything about that night.
I'd like to play for you Plaintiff's Exhibit 1229, which is already in evidence, at 1720 through 2128.
Okay, pausing there. I don't know what his intentions were. And he was wrong. So you are calling him a liar. And she has full recollection of everything that happened then. After taking all that stuff and being so sick. Very interesting. Let's keep going. Sorry, this part is inaudible.
That's what I came to figure out. You're not going to call your lawyers. Stop the process. Don't want to do this. You're not going to do that. No, not if, especially if you don't. Okay, I don't want to divorce. You don't? How, which one? So I know which one. I don't want a divorce. I never wanted a fucking divorce. Really? I never wanted a divorce. I didn't want you to fucking go to Coachella without fucking talking to me. Because I left you because you were fucking... You fucking haymakered me, man. You came around the bed and fucking start punching on me. Why? I love you.
That's what really happened the evening of your 30th birthday, isn't it, Miss Heard?
No, that's incorrect.
Mr. Depp was in bed, and then you came around the bed and started punching him.
That's incorrect.
You don't deny that in the recording, do you, Miss Heard?
I'm not having that conversation with Johnny. I'm not denying anything. I'm not saying anything. I'm not having that conversation with Johnny. I was trying to get out of that hotel room. That was a mediation attempt. That was the recording you just heard. It was us meeting in a hotel.
But you're talking about your 30th birthday.
No, we're not.
You're not talking about going to Coachella and...
Johnny's talking about that. I am not arguing with him about any of that.
Right. You don't deny anything, do you?
I'm not talking to him about that.
Going to publish exhibit, or ask that the witness be shown exhibit 1265. This is you and your friends at Coachella, correct?
That is correct.
I'm going to move to admit plaintiff's 1265 and publish it.
No objection.
All right, 1265 in evidence, you can publish it.
There's no injuries to you, are there, Ms. Heard, visible in this picture?
You cannot see any visible injury, no.
Thank you, Tom.
So she was very whiny in that. It doesn't sound like she's trying to escape the hotel room. I don't know what she's trying to do, but she is whiny and acting like she's on stuff, and just, I don't know. It sounds like a whiny child. And he doesn't want to deal with any of it. So I don't know who she's fooling with, trying to say, no, that was a mediation. He was talking about that. I was trying to leave. We can hear it with our own ears that that is not what was going on. So try again. All right, here is the picture from Coachella in April of 2016. She is looking unblemished. Doesn't look like she has makeup on. Usually when you're in your bathing suit and stuff, if you're going swimming, maybe they're not going swimming, maybe they're just tanning. I don't know. It's all weird. Rocky, Amber, and I am not sure who this guy is. If you know, let me know in the chat.
Up that morning was feces. Well, tell me what you think that picture shows. Does that,
It looks like dog poop.
okay, is that feces?
Looks like dog feces.
Excrement, correct?
Asked and answered twice now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
What
I've
makes
answered
you,
the question.
what makes you believe that feces is dog feces?
Because there's no other plausible explanation, and because Boo, my dog, or Johnny and I's dog, uses the bathroom quite frequently in the bed and has done so on Johnny's person more than once. In fact, my mom sent me a text message just yesterday saying
whose it was. She just said,
Boo
"Why do
used the
you
bathroom in
think
bed
that?"
with her, and so sorry about the sheets. What does she need
She
to
didn't
do?
even bring up Boo
And that
yet.
was yesterday.
If you were informed,
So, that's my
Miss
guess.
Heard, that that feces you are looking at in Respondent's Exhibit is in fact human feces, would you know where that feces had come from?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And when you woke up that morning on April 22nd, was that feces in your bed?
I have no idea. Boo sleeps underneath the covers.
You don't
and
know
she's
if
a
that was
small
in your
dog.
bed while you were there?
And she uses the
That's
bathroom in the
kinda
bed quite
gross.
frequently. So if it was in the bed, I didn't notice. And I know I didn't notice because there was another person that came into the bed, as I mentioned, Raquel Pennington, who talked to me and even
the
showed me a
voice
video
and the
that
mouth
morning. It's my
syncing
30th
is
birthday.
not
And neither of us noticed it.
synced here for
Then we
some
got out
reason.
of bed to pack because we were leaving for the weekend, for my little birthday weekend. And we left the dogs in the bed. You try to leave the dogs in the bed in the morning because as soon as you set them down, Boo is even more encouraged to use the bathroom, and I wasn't ready to go downstairs, so I left them in the bed where I grabbed a few things to pack so it could have happened after I got out of bed.
When you say it could have happened, what do you mean?
Boo could have used the bathroom.
Miss Heard, I just want to be very clear. between the time you were sleeping with Miss Raquel Pennington in your bed.
I never slept with Raquel Pennington
I'm sorry,
in my bed.
I misspoke. Between the time you were sleeping in your bed and the time you left your bed for the day, was any person other than you and Raquel Pennington in that bed?
No.
Was any other person?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. How long
Why
were
would
you
somebody
in
be in
your
your bed?
penthouse 3 before you left for your trip?
From when?
From the time you woke up until the time you left?
How long did it take us to get ready?
Well, what time did you leave the penthouse that day?
I don't. That night you said?
That
She
day?
is not listening to any of these questions
I
because she
feel
doesn't
like
care.
it was
She's not
in
interested
midday.
in
I
any
don't
of
know.
this.
I can't. If you don't want me to guess, then I'd have to say I don't know. I don't know the exact time.
Would it be fair to say around the afternoon, early afternoon?
That'd be fair.
Okay. And between the time you were sleeping in your bed and the time you left, did you ever leave your apartment?
Clarify. Sorry.
Between the time you left for your trip and the time you were sleeping and woke up in your bed, did you leave Penthouse 3? Or were you there the whole morning?
I went to the other penthouses to gather clothes and my paints and stuff. So yes, I did leave Penthouse 3 specifically.
To your awareness, to your knowledge, was any other person accessing your bedroom between the time you woke up on April 22nd and the time you left for your trip?
Other than Raquel?
Yes. And you?
I can't remember if the housekeepers came while I was there or after. I think the housekeepers came after we had already left. So I'm not sure.
Okay. Is it fair to say that your testimony here is that other than you and Rocky, and possibly, you're not sure, the housekeepers, no other person came into your bedroom?
I cannot remember. I cannot
Vegas
tell
the
you.
time.
And I also can't tell you who was in the apartments because the apartments connect. And at the time, Lily Rose and her boyfriend were living next door in Penthouse 4, and they connect. So you have access to all of them.
Curious
So between the
how old
housekeepers, the
Lily
house
Rose
manager,
was when all
his
this went
assistant, and Lily Rose and her boyfriend, there are any number of people that have access to that apartment.
My question to you, Ms. Depp, is do you have any reason to believe on April 22nd, at any time in the day, that Lily Rose Depp was in your bedroom?
Are you asking me if I have any reason to believe that she was in my bedroom?
Isn't that what she just
No.
said?
Do you have any reason to believe that Ash was in your bedroom on April 21, 2016, at any time? I'm sorry, April 22, 2016. At any
I have no idea who was in my apartment or who had access to my apartment for whatever reason. I have no reason to believe specifically that Ash or Lily Rose was in my bedroom.
Could you name
I'm
it?
just saying a lot of people have access. Kevin, housekeepers, house manager, a lot of people have access to that apartment.
On April 22nd, 2016, could you identify any person that you gave authorization to have access to your bedroom on April 22nd?
Vague and ambiguous.
Yeah,
access
what are you asking me exactly?
Did you
So
tell
sorry.
any other human being that they could come into your bedroom on April 22nd?
I did not tell anybody. I did not tell any human being to come into that they had permission to specifically enter my bedroom on April 22nd. However, I know for a fact other people did come into my bedroom on April 22nd.
Who were those people?
I don't know which housekeepers were working that day. I don't know if the house manager, Kevin, was working that day. I don't know if Andy was working that day. I don't know if Ash and Lily Rose were next door and coming into the office to get weed from their dad's office. I don't know.
Did you say weed
gotta
from their dad's office?
Throw
Yes,
Lily
the
Rose
connecting
under the
apartment,
bus.
the one that they lived in, it's there's a connecting door between their apartment and Johnny's office where he keeps all of the weed. And so Ash and Lily Rose would have full access to his office.
While you
And
were,
often would come into the apartment for that reason.
while you were in penthouse 3,
She just can't help herself.
on April 22nd, 2016, did you personally see any other person in your bedroom other than you and Raquel Pennington?
No, I don't recall anyone else being in my bedroom. However, I don't know, because I do not recall, if the housekeepers came before I left or not. I don't remember if I saw them before I left.
Does that
Before
have to do
you left
with anything?
on April 22nd, 2016, did you see any other person in penthouse 3 before you left?
I don't recall if I saw the housekeepers come before I left.
Okay, but other than the housekeeper,
Or the house manager.
okay, other than Rocky Pennington and other than you, is there any other person that you can identify you saw in the penthouse 3 on April 22nd, 2016 after you woke up?
Not that I recall.
Okay.
I was like
I think it's time for a lunch
pulling
break.
teeth here. Definitely pulling teeth. So she throws Lily Rose now under the bus. She makes it really difficult. Instead of just answering the question, did you see anybody in your bedroom other than you and Rocky before you left? Did you see them in your room? Yes or no? It's simple. But she's making it complex to where it confuses everybody. Right, here we have Miss Hilda Vargas's witness statement that she did in February of 2020 for the UK trial. Let's see what she says. On April 22nd, 2016, I arrived at Mr. Depp's home at the Eastern at approximately 3 p.m. There are several different loft-style units in this home. I began to clean Unit 3, which is Penthouse 3, which is where Mr. Depp usually slept with Miss Heard. The first floor of the unit includes a kitchen, living room, laundry room, bathroom, and patio. The master bedroom, office, and another bathroom are on the second floor. I began to clean downstairs with another cleaning woman. The downstairs level was somewhat messy, but not unusually so. Paragraph 7. The upstairs level, however, was extremely messy. I had just finished washing the dishes and vacuuming, and I was about to help the other cleaning woman change the sheets when I heard her call out. I joined her in the master bedroom. She was pointing to the bed and told me that she couldn't believe what she had found. I pulled back the top sheet on the bed and saw a large pile of feces. I was horrified and disgusted. It was clear to me that this was human feces. I knew that the feces could not have come from either of Mr. Depp and Miss Heard's two small dogs. I have cleaned up after those dogs many times, and their feces are much smaller. Further, I have never known those dogs to defecate in the bed. Paragraph 8. I did not know what to think of what I had discovered. I was completely shocked. With my cell phone, I took pictures of the feces in the bed, which she attaches in her exhibit that I will not be showing in this video. If you want to go look it up, you can. I don't want to look at it because it's gross, and some people have a weak stomach, and I don't want them to be affected by this in this video. Then the other woman and I washed and changed the sheets. So that is what she says. She says, she cleaned up after them many times. And the way she describes it, and maybe some others describe it, why is this place so nasty? I mean, I get that you have house cleaners and things like that, but you can't pick up after yourself even a little. And I'm sorry, if you're gonna have a dog, either train it or pick up after them yourself, especially that type of stuff, because that's just gross. Don't leave that for other people to clean up. It's just like, if us lay people had a housekeeper and we just let that stuff and just waited for the housekeeper to clean up, they would probably quit. And if you're gonna leave it, then it's gonna stink. Like, this just really sounds gross. And for her to live like this, I don't think he should either, but I don't know how often he's actually there. I mean, he could be there all the time, and, and I know that, he has his flaws and stuff, and he might not pay attention to it or might not do any of that. I have no idea, but it's just gross. But let's move on and see what else she says. While I continued to clean, Mr. Depp's estate manager, Kevin Murphy, called me to see if I was almost finished. Although I was embarrassed by the feces I had found in the bed, I was so angry that I told Mr. Murphy about it. He at first could not believe it, but I repeated that I had found the feces in the bed, that I had taken pictures. Shortly after this incident, I stopped going to Mr. Depp's home at the Eastern. I was uncomfortable around Miss Heard. I now work primarily at Mr. Depp's West Hollywood home. Paragraph 11. On Tuesday, May the 24th, 2016, I was working at Mr. Depp's West Hollywood home when Miss Heard came over with her friend, Miss Rocky Pennington. I was surprised because I had not seen Miss Heard at the West Hollywood home in several weeks. Miss Heard said hello to the other women who were cleaning as well, but not me. So yes, Amber makes her feel uncomfortable, being mad that this was left behind, being embarrassed about even having to say it and report that this happened. And she didn't want to go to that home anymore after this incident. So, kind of like I was saying before, if we did that to our housekeepers, if any of us have them, then yeah, they're not going to want to be there. And so, and the fact that Miss Heard didn't greet her, which Amber will deny, I believe Hilda. I just, seeing how Amber is, I don't buy that Miss Heard didn't just ignore her and was cold to her. And you'll see why I think that in just a minute. Paragraph 12. Miss Heard then called me over to talk to her in the living room. Her face was pale and she did not appear to be wearing any makeup. I saw no bruises or marks on her face of any kind. Miss Heard told me that the picture I had taken of the feces had destroyed her marriage. I was very nervous, and so I apologized. Even though I did not believe that their marital problems were my fault, or that I had done anything wrong, I also told Miss Heard that the feces were there, that there was nothing I could do. Miss Heard argued with me, saying that there were no feces in the bed. I again said that the feces were there, that they were large and smelled awful. I bet. Miss Heard continued to disagree with me, but I wanted to end the conversation as quickly as possible. I have often heard Miss Heard yelling at Mr. Depp and at other people. She has a bad temper, in my opinion, and I did not want her to yell at me. On the contrary, in the over 30 years I have worked for Mr. Depp, I have never seen Mr. Depp be physical with or yell at anyone. Now, the last sentence there is interesting. Maybe he just did not yell or do any of that in front of his housekeepers, because we know he has yelled at people or he gets mad. Maybe he's just yelling into the universe and all of that, but we know he can also talk calmly and then maybe just lash out later, and assault some cabinets and couches and such. But why is she arguing with her that they weren't there? Like, is Hilda and the other cleaning lady, were they delusional as well in thinking things? No. And there's pictures to back it up. So she's not delusional in this. And she definitely is not the cause of Johnny and Amber's marital problems. If anything, it may have destroyed it because she did this, and Hilda's the one who had sent it to Johnny, and that might have caused problems, but it wasn't because she sent the pictures. It was because Amber did this, period. Like, it's just not okay. And I would be furious as well. Like, nobody wants to be with somebody who can do that. That's gross. It's completely unacceptable. And she also says that she did not see any bruises or marks of any kind on her face when she saw her in May. We have heard from Miss Hilda and her version of things. Let's see what Amber says about her and Hilda and their conversation.
Miss Heard, do you know someone by the name of Hilda Vargas?
Yes.
How long have you known Miss Vargas?
For now, almost 5 years?
Do you think of her as a good person?
Yes.
Do you think of her as a nice person?
Yes.
Okay. How often does she clean for you?
She works for Johnny, and she, I I don't know her work schedule because sometimes I see her regularly and then sometimes I go for a long time without seeing her.
Okay. Does she clean your areas where you live?
She cleaned the house where Johnny and I live on occasion.
Okay. Did she have any regular schedule, or did she just come whenever she wanted to?
I don't know what her schedule is.
Did you see her on certain days of the week?
It didn't seem to have a regular schedule, but I did see cleaning ladies most days of the week. They came almost
And
every
yet
day.
the place is still gross.
Did you see
At
Hilda
times.
Vargas on April 21? Do you know what Hilda Vargas looks like?
Yes.
Did you see her on April 21, 2016?
I don't remember seeing, I don't know if she was there on that day.
Did you see Hilda Vargas on April 22, 2016?
I can't remember. I don't know.
When was the last time you saw Hilda Vargas?
I saw Hilda at Johnny's, one of Johnny's West Hollywood houses, sometime right around the divorce.
Okay. And prior to that time, when was the last time you saw Hilda Vargas?
I don't recall.
Okay. And when you saw Hilda Vargas, you say you were at Johnny's another house?
Yeah, Johnny's main house, where he goes and lives every time we get in a fight. He moves to that house.
Thank goodness he has another place
Ms.
to
Hurd,
go.
when you say you saw Hilda Vargas, Ms. Hurd, do you know someone by the name of Hilda Vargas?
Yes.
How long have you known Ms. Vargas?
For now, almost 5 years.
Do you think of her as a good person?
Yes.
Well, I
Do you
don't
think of her as a
understand what
nice
that
person?
means.
Yes.
Okay. How often does she clean for you?
She works for Johnny, and she, I don't know her work schedule because sometimes I see her regularly and then sometimes I go for a long time without seeing her.
Okay. Does she clean your areas where you live?
She cleaned the house where Johnny and I live on occasion.
You
Okay. Did she
cannot
have any
cuss in
regular
depots. It's
schedule, or did
run
she just
kinda
come
like
whenever
court.
she wanted to?
I don't know what her schedule is.
Did you see her on certain days of the week?
It didn't seem to have a regular schedule, but I did see cleaning ladies most days of the week. They came almost every day.
Did you see Hilda Vargas on April 21? Do you know what Hilda Vargas looks like?
Yes.
Did you see her on April 21, 2016?
I don't remember seeing, I don't know if she was there on that day.
Did you see Hilda Vargas on April 22, 2016?
I can't remember. I don't know.
When was the last time you saw Hilda Vargas?
I saw Hilda at Johnny's, one of Johnny's West Hollywood houses, sometime right around the divorce.
Okay. And prior to that time, when was the last time you saw Hilda Vargas?
I don't recall.
That is not.
And when
What
you saw Hilda Vargas, you
even
say you were
happened?
at Johnny's
She did
another
not
house?
ask for that.
Yeah,
She did
Johnny's
not tell
main
her to
house, where
continue
he
about
goes
that.
and lives every time we get in a fight. He moves to that house.
Ms. Hurd, when you say you saw Hilda Vargas sometime after April 21, did you have a conversation with her?
I did.
Okay. And what was that conversation about?
About the information I received from Johnny.
Excuse me?
About information I received from Johnny. I talked to her about the information I received from Johnny. Through, I think he said it was through Kevin, through Hilda, then to Kevin, and that Kevin had sent him a picture of the dog shit, dog feces, and that Hilda, so I asked Johnny, when Johnny first informed me, he was the first person that told me about this. This was something I didn't know about until Johnny told me. And at the time we were speaking on the phone, it had been after about a month of not
Prepared
hearing
to
from
be
him.
shocked.
And I assumed Johnny was high and have in one of his manic episodes where he goes into delusion. That's what I assumed.
Miss
So
Hurd,
I just-
I'm gonna ask you to pause.
You
Sure.
interrupted
And I'm
her.
gonna object as non-responsive and move to strike.
Okay.
I was asking
I
you about
disagree,
a
though.
conversation.
I think it was responsive.
I'm
I was
telling
asking you about a conversation you say you had with someone named Hilda Vargas. Do you understand my question?
No, your question asked me, as I understood it, your question was asking me what Hilda and I spoke about. And I responded the information Johnny gave me. And then you asked me to continue, so I was
She just
elucidating as to
happened
what
to
that
run into
information
her.
was.
She went to
when I
find
attempted
her.
to do so, you interrupted me.
When you were elucidating, Miss Hurd, could you instead describe for me anything that Hilda Vargas said to you?
Hilda gave me, I asked Hilda if it was true that she took a picture. I asked Hilda if it was true if she took a picture of Boo. I asked Hilda if she took a picture of Boo's dog shit, dog poop. And thank you. I asked Hilda if she took a picture of Boo's dog poop because the other housekeepers, when I asked them, probably the day prior, I said, guys, I heard from
Less.
Johnny on this phone call, and I assumed Johnny was high and in a delusion, so I wrote it off, but then he kept talking about it and kept bringing it up, and I thought that was very strange, and then he texted me a picture of it. So I said, how did you have this text?
Nope,
Why do you have it?
she wouldn't,
Why do you
'cause she didn't
poop
wanna be
on your
around you.
phone? And he said that Kevin sent it to him. Kevin from Hilda. Or no, from the housekeepers. So I asked the housekeepers, with whom I have great respect and a great relationship. I think I would be shocked if they said otherwise. But I asked them who took this picture, because Johnny's been carrying around this picture for a month of Boo's dog shit, and he's been latching poop, and he's latched onto this delusion. And I want to know how this information, I want to know the custody of this information, and why no one told me? Why no one said, why no one sent me this picture? Why did it go to Johnny in the way it did? Because I felt like it aided in his delusion. So the other housekeepers told me it was Hilda that took the picture or saw it. They didn't even see it. They don't know. And I asked Hilda when I saw her. I just happened to run into her at Johnny's West Hollywood place. And I said, Hilda, do you know anything about this? And she said, well, yeah, I took a picture of it because it looked really big. It didn't look like Boo. And I said, but, you know, what do you mean by that? And she said, well, it was in the bed. And I said, but Boo should, God, I'm sorry. Boo uses the bathroom in the bed all the time. And she said, oh, well, I mean, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And I said, you don't know that because when that happens, I clean it up and then wrap the sheets up. And I always, every single time this has happened before, wrap the sheets up and either wash them myself or put them aside and tell the housekeepers when they're doing laundry. By the way, within this pile, be careful, there is, you know, we use the bathroom again. And so it's cleaned up more or less every time. And Hilda was working for us very rarely these days in the penthouses. Like she was coming only she was not there every day. So I had a conversation with Hilda and said, you know, if I had ever seen that Boo did that, if I had ever noticed it, I would never have left it there. I would have cleaned it up. You know, I'd never do that to you guys. I'm so sorry that I didn't clean it up. It was because I didn't see it. And I just don't want you to think that I was so disrespectful as just to leave.
Okay, so be surprised because, yeah, the housekeepers don't like her. They do not find her and them to have a great relationship. Hilda stated she didn't work over there that much because of Amber. And so that is something. yes, Amber does speak. I know she knows sign language, Spanish, obviously English, and I can't remember if she knows a few others or not. But that is true, that she knows multiple languages. And she went looking for Hilda. And, you know, if you have somebody that comes to your house to clean, basically every day they come and they clean, the housekeepers, why is it still so messy? And them saying that it's not unusual for it to be messy. And the regular house, like, live in everyday messes, but on this particular occasion, this bedroom was definitely just destroyed and gross. And if they knew, or Boo did this all the time, you know he uses the bathroom and the bed. One, why is he still allowed to be on the bed? No. One time, maybe clean it up, maybe chalk it up so they don't feel good. But after that, nope, not on the bed. And then the wrapping it up and being like, be careful, Boo's poop is in here. What? Like, get some toilet paper, get the poop, pick it up, and go throw it in the toilet and flush it. And then, pull off the sheets of the bed and say, hey, I picked up the poop off of it, but there's still some stains on here. And then if she washes it itself when he does this, she's wrapping that up and throwing it in the wash with poop still in it? That's gross. So does all of their clothes smell like caca? I don't think she's done laundry before, because if she had, or she hasn't done it in a really, really, really long time and she's just completely forgotten, you would never do that. Even lay people, common people as myself, know that that is not. Actually, the common people probably know more about how laundry goes than somebody who has housekeepers and all of that stuff that does everything for them, like the rich. And I know people have housekeepers and come and clean their house, but for the most part, they're not doing your laundry, and they're not picking up after your dog. Because one, it's not their job. You wanted the dog, you had the dog, you need to pick up after your own dog. It is not anybody else's responsibility. And if you can't be bothered with that, then you do not need to have a dog. Plain and simple. Okay, sorry about that little tangent, but it's just nasty. Okay. Now, we are going to listen to Amber's version in her depo of her description of Boo, who is Johnny's dog right here. Cute as could be. Little tiny teacup Yorkshires. And Amber's out walking them, so I don't know if this is just a photo op or what. I have heard rumors that they are trained only to go to the bathroom on the sidewalk. which I don't know in places like these and all that if there's like grassy areas and stuff to take them outside of the ECB. There might be, but either way, if it's the sidewalk or it's the grass, have your bag, pick their stuff up when they go outside. But let's listen to what Amber has to say about Boo.
Hands, how big your dog is, Boo.
Boo is, she's a square.
Okay.
She's about this big.
Okay.
She's like a brick. She's a brick.
Let the record reflect. Can you describe approximately how many inches you are saying Boo is? Hands, how big your dog is, Boo.
Boo is, she's a square.
Okay.
She's about this big.
Okay.
She's like a brick. She's a brick.
Let the record reflect. Can you describe approximately how many inches you are saying Boo is in length?
How big is this?
What kind of dog is she?
She is a Yorkie.
A Yorkie.
Okay, that's one question.
Can you describe how long she is? How much she weighs?
Okay, so she's probably this long.
Okay. Do you have an approximation? I only want you to tell.
So I'm sure there's probably square bricks out there. Most of the time bricks, and when you describe a brick, it's a rectangle. And a rectangle is not as wide as it is long, nor are these dogs. Like, the closest thing I can think of to a dog that would be the same width as they are, the same length, is maybe a chunky bulldog. I don't know. And she's describing this teacup, which, by the way, they are 4 pounds. And I don't know about any of you dog owners, but if you take your dogs to the vet or for any of that stuff, for their vaccines, yearly and all that, you get your dog weighed and they tell you how much it weighs. And I'm pretty sure all of us, if we were asked how much our dog weighed, we would probably be able to say something. And she's describing a dog that's bigger than my little dachshund that I have, and she's 10 pounds. And this teacup 4-pound Yorkie is, by her approximation of hands, is bigger than that. And a dachshund, a weenie dog, is long. And so the fact that she's having her hands longer than my dachshund, that's a tiny dog, is ridiculous. I have Ed White's witness statement that he did for the UK trial. Paragraph 5 says, I participated in a meeting with Mr. Depp on the evening of April 21st, 2016. This meeting took place in Mr. Depp's office at his production company, Infinium Nihil. I do not know how to pronounce it. It's I apologize. And it is located in Los Angeles, California. Also present were Mr. Richard Smith, my partners, Mr. Troy Schmidt and Mr. Lawrence Levitt, Mr. Fahar Faison, and Miss Christy Dombrowski, who is Johnny Depp's sister. The meeting began at approximately 7:30 p.m. and lasted between 1.5 to 2 hours. Paragraph 6, I was able to observe Mr. Depp extensively up close during the meeting, and I did not perceive him to be physically impaired by alcohol or any other substance in any way. To the contrary, we discussed a number of significant financial and business matters at the meeting, and Mr. Depp gave them his full and undivided attention. He participated actively and intelligibly in the meeting from beginning to end. I do not believe that he would have been able to participate in the manner that he did had he been impaired in any way. I believe that once the meeting had finished, Mr. Depp left to return home directly, given that it was already late in the day. So we knew he had this financial meeting. It was to discuss the money that was missing and stolen by ex-business partners and managers and all of that stuff. And Amber knew about this, that he was doing this. Now, could Mr. Depp be on some substance during this, or had a glass or of whiskey or whatever, and still been able to proceed? I think he could have, because his tolerance is probably really high. And so even if he had had a glass of whiskey or something, or was on any other type of medication, he could have possibly done it. He hadn't done anything to make him just out of it, as Amber likes to say Johnny does when he consumes things. But I can see him being either having something to drink or having something, but still be able to focus on everything here. But then again, he also could have been sober, because this was so important to him. And so he was going to be clear-headed for this and then maybe go blow off the steam later, which sounds like he did do something, whether it was just smoke a joint or whatever it was. So maybe he could have been on something and he can act completely normal, and then he could have just been fully coherent and on nothing. Jenkins' witness statement from the UK that he gave in May of 2020 for the events of April 21st and 22nd, 2016. Paragraph 9 states, I was working at a security stiff at the ECB on the night of April 21st, 2016. The night Amber was celebrating her birthday there with her friends. When I left the residence, Johnny had not yet arrived. So he was there even though Johnny wasn't. Very interesting, because Amber likes to say that they're only there for Johnny and nothing else. Well, if that was true, then why is he working when Johnny is not there? Paragraph 10. I returned to the residence the following day on April 22nd to escort Amber and her friends to the desert for the Coachella Music Festival. I understand that Amber has alleged Johnny committed an act of domestic violence on the night of April 21st. When I arrived at the residence on April 22nd, I saw no marks or bruises of any kind on her face or body. So he says he saw her the next day on the 22nd. She might have had a little bit of makeup on. We'll give her that. Maybe since she was going to an event and stuff, she she might have had a little bit of stuff on. In the video, it didn't look like she had too much on, but at the same time, she could have had some foundation and all of that. We know that Elaine would say she does because she doesn't go anywhere without it on, and Amber would say that she had makeup on. So we can give the benefit of the doubt here that maybe she did have that, and so bruises were possibly hidden from her face, but in the video, you know, we don't see anything visible either. And marks are a little bit different because when I think of marks, I think of like scratch marks and things like that, which you can't cover up with makeup, because even if you put makeup over it, it's still going to have that raised area or where a scab or something is. You're still going to be able to see lines even if you have the makeup on. Let's see what else he says. 12. When I entered the residence, Amber explained to me that she had thrown Johnny's cell phone and the wallet containing it off the balcony the night before, that she was using the Find My iPhone application on another cell phone to locate Johnny's phone. The Find My iPhone application indicated that Johnny's phone was somewhere on the streets below the balcony of the residence. I walked out the streets, did not see the phone, and I had asked several homeless people if they had it. One homeless man admitted to me that he had the phone, and he returned the phone to me in exchange for the following: $425 cash, 3 chicken tacos, 2 bags of chips, 2 apples, and 4 bottles of water. Which, you know what? That's a lot to ask for. He wanted some water for hydration. It is April, so it's probably hot, and he wanted some food. So that's great. Can't blame him for asking for about $425 because, well, if he's homeless and he knows that it belongs to a rich person that really, really wants it back, why not ask for it if he could possibly get it? They could deny him, and then he wouldn't hand the phone over, but there's some good negotiating from this homeless man, I must say. Another interesting piece is that she doesn't tell anybody about it until the next day. And that will be important later in another statement that Amber makes that goes against what Starling Jenkins is saying. And also there's no mention of her phone in this either. But on somebody's cell phone, she is able to locate Johnny's phone. But it can't be Amber's phone because supposedly Amber's phone was destroyed. It was shattered to pieces because he threw hers off the balcony first, and then that's when she did the same to his. So very important stuff there. On to say in paragraph 14, I drove an SUV with their luggage and Amber's dogs to the desert, and Amber drove separately with her sister and her friends in her Ford Mustang. These friends were Raquel or Rocky Pennington, Amber's sister Whitney, Amber's assistant Savannah McMillan, and Amber's makeup artist, which is Melanie Iglesias. I believe Amber's friend Io Chillett drove separately. Once in the desert, it was my responsibility to drive the group from their hotel in Palm Springs, the Parker, to the Coachella venue, as well as to shadow them for safety and security purposes. So he had the dogs with him, which I guess is good, but it also shows that after, quote unquote, the dogs defecated in the bed, they weren't there to do any more. Still not buying that, but and Johnny left, so there was nobody to take care of the dogs because it's not the house staff's or anybody else's responsibility. And we do know that Amber likes to take the dogs everywhere. Now, whether she actually tends to them or she just wants the look of it, I have no idea. And Johnny wanted security and for Amber and her friends to be safe while they were out at Coachella. And for anybody that doesn't know, Coachella is a huge music festival. Lots of big names perform there. It's lots of partying and drinking and drugs and other stuff. I'm sure there are sober people that are there too. Maybe they're the designated drivers or something, but for somebody that doesn't seem to care or is so horrible to Amber, he still wanted somebody to be there to protect them, or if, you know, even if it's just fans becoming crazy, you know, that they had somebody there to get them where they needed to be. All right, paragraph 15. During the weekend, I heard Amber frequently express her anger that Johnny did not come to her birthday party on April 21st, but she did not say one thing or make any innuendos or allegations of DV. She was hooping it up all weekend, and it was clear that she and her girlfriends spent much of the time at Coachella intoxicated, as do many. She threw up at least once in the parking lot of the Parker and was clearly dehydrated at the time, and I had to obtain ginger ale and crackers for her. Now, Amber states that it was not her that threw up, it was Whitney. And while they can look alike in some instances, and you'll kind of see in a breakdown of some things that in grainy situations maybe, but we saw Whitney on the stand in Virginia, and we've seen pictures of her, and there's no mistaking the two of them, in my opinion, as far as if you know them. And Sterling Jenkins definitely knows them. So I don't think he mixed up who it actually was that was throwing up in the parking lot.
Sidestep. If you've watched my other videos or followed this case, you're aware that a month earlier than this footage, Amber, angry that Johnny was late to her birthday party, punched him in the face, threw his phone and wallet off the balcony, and after he escaped her, she left poop on his side of the bed, a mess which the maid found the next day while Amber, her sister, and friends Raquel, Melanie, and Amber's assistant Savannah McMillan went to Coachella. Amber now claims the poop was from her dog, but the estate manager, Kevin Murphy, who was informed by the maid and went to see it in person, testified to it being human poop, not from her 4-pound teacup Yorkie. He also testified to Amber confessing to him that it was a harmless prank. Either way, Amber clearly isn't a stranger to leaving messes for others to clean up. Back to the video, Amber leaves her...
Okay, so I just wanted to have that recap in there of some things from a video that Incredibly Average put out a while back. And if you want to watch that video in full, I will also have that one linked as well in the description box. Now we have Kevin Murphy's witness statement from the UK that he gave in December of 2019. And this is what he says. Paragraph 18. On April the 22nd, 2016, Miss Heard and her friends were due to and did travel to the Coachella Music Festival. I spoke on the telephone with Hilda Vargas, Mr. Depp's housekeeper, who was cleaning the penthouse that day. Miss Vargas told me that she had discovered feces in Mr. Depp's and Miss Heard's shared bed. Shortly after our telephone call, I received pictures from Miss Vargas of the feces on top of the bedsheet on Mr. Depp's side of the bed. Gross. When I arrived at the penthouse, I was shocked and disgusted by what I observed as human feces on the bed. Miss Heard has since publicly blamed the feces on one of the dogs. However, the feces did not appear to come from either of Mr. Depp and Miss Heard's two small Yorkshire Terriers. I have walked, cleaned up after, and played with and interacted with these dogs many times, and their feces have always been significantly smaller than what I saw in the bed. Paragraph 19. I had sent the pictures to Mr. Bett and then spoke with Mr. Johnny Depp personally about the pictures around 24 hours later. I told him that human feces had been left in the bed. I remember him being sullen and disgusted, as would anybody, at that stage. I believe he suggested getting the feces DNA tested to see where they had come from. Now, obviously this didn't end up happening, although it would have been really funny to have that evidence given to her at trial and have her explain that that was a lie and somebody messed with the testing and all of that, and that it was the dogs. But we've also heard her talk about how it wasn't the dogs and that it was one of her friends that had played a prank on. Either way, what kind of person plays a prank of doing that somewhere other than the toilet? Like, it's just gross. We have also heard that Johnny had thought it was funny to maybe have Sean Betts do something similar in front of the bedroom door and Amber step in it. I don't remember if he had talked about that first prior to this whole Poopgate thing, or if he had said it as a joke to Sean Bett afterwards as kind of a payback type thing. But the difference there is that Depp and Sean Bett didn't do that. Thank goodness. Now maybe it would have happened if Sean had agreed to it and thought it was going to be equally as funny, but talking about it and actually doing it are two different things, as we all know. All right. We have Josh Drew and his depo and the little bit of stuff that he talks about in regards to Amber's birthday. And so let's listen to that and then we will discuss.
To April 21, 2016, do you recall that there was to have been a birthday celebration that night?
Yes.
Was that Amber Heard's birthday?
Yes.
Do you recall which birthday it was for her, how old she was?
It was her 30th. I catered it.
What do
He
you
remembers
recall
because
about
nobody
that?
can forget.
I recall it was held in PH5. Johnny was hours late. And Amber spent the better part of the evening making excuses for him. And he came very obviously intoxicated and put on a show for everybody.
Ask him how he knows he was
When the
intoxicated.
party was over, or we left, cleaned up, and the next morning we heard about what had transpired after the fact.
So Johnny was supposed to have attended the dinner, correct?
Correct.
And at what time did the dinner begin?
I don't recall.
You and Rocky were guests at the dinner?
Correct.
Who else was invited to the dinner? To April 21, 2016, do you recall that there was to have been a birthday celebration that night?
Yes.
Was that Amber Heard's birthday?
Yes.
Do you recall which birthday it was for her, how old she was?
It was her 30th. I catered it.
What do you recall about that evening?
I recall it was held in PH5. Johnny was hours late. And Amber spent the better part of the evening making excuses for him. And he came very obviously intoxicated and put on a show for everybody. And when the party was over, or we left, cleaned up, and the next morning we heard about what had transpired after the fact.
So Johnny was supposed to have attended the dinner, correct?
Correct.
And at what time did the dinner begin?
I don't recall.
You and Rocky were guests at the dinner?
Correct.
Who else was invited to the dinner?
Again, you'll have to forgive me. It was quite some time ago. I remember.
So, he says that she appeared to be intoxicated. Well, that's interesting because she said she only had one glass of wine. And unless she has a really, really, really low tolerance, where she has one of those crazy wine glasses that fits a whole bottle of it in there, I don't think she's going to be intoxicated on one glass. And he does go on to say that she had a couple of bottles of wine. Now, she would say that the bottles were for everybody, not just her, which that could be true. And then they or she needed another bottle because the ones that they had were not going to be enough by the time he got there. And so, but then he goes in to say, did you see Mr. Depp hit Amber Heard that night? Josh says no. Then she says, did you see him shove Amber Heard onto the floor? Josh says no. Did you see Amber have any marks on her face or body that night that you observed? He says, I don't recall. Did you see Mr. Depp throw a magnum, because remember everything has to be mega and magna, sized champagne bottle at the wall? He states no. So that is what Josh has to say. He says, yes, she was intoxicated. Because she's probably having a good time, and as so many do on their birthday. Some people, I don't understand why that's something she wouldn't admit to. Because it's a completely normal thing. All right, this is going to be a witness statement that Rocky or Raquel Pennington was given, or she gave, in June of 2020. And it says, April 21st, 2016 was the day of Amber's birthday party. We had a small gathering planned with a dinner at 8 p.m. on the patio of Penthouse 5 for about 12 guests. Guests started to arrive from about 8 p.m., but Johnny was not there. About an hour, we decided to start dinner without him. More than once, Amber said, he's not here, meaning Johnny. She was calm but sad. Well, she's got to play it up as to like, I can't believe he's not here. Like, how could he miss my birthday? It's just so hard. Even though she knew why he wasn't there. Paragraph 25. Johnny arrived sometime after we had finished dinner. A number of guests were still there, and we were still sitting at the dinner table on the patio. Amber gave Johnny a plate of food that had been set aside for him, and Johnny sat next to Amber. Eventually, guests began to leave, and I returned to my apartment. Early the next morning, I received a message from Amber. She said that Johnny had left, that they had a bad argument, and that she wanted me to wake her up between 10 and 10:30 a.m. so that we could leave to go to Coachella, which had been planned for Amber's birthday. She said that she didn't have her phone with her, so she couldn't set an alarm. Okay. So in this last paragraph, Rocky received a message from Amber early next morning, which I am assuming is going to be around that 3 or 4 o'clock time, because it's obviously not going to be a message about waking her up if she's already up to send the message around 10 or 10:30. So it has to be probably right around the time he left, early morning. Also, she says that she didn't have her phone with her. Well, how did Amber send a message to Rocky? Did she have a phone that she could have sent the message on and set the alarm? Did she not have her phone and it was done off of the computer or an iPad? Because if it's on an iPad, then guess what? The iPad you can set an alarm on just as you would a phone. It's basically just a bigger version of a phone. And computer you can actually do too. I get that some don't. Even on a laptop and a desktop you can still set an alarm. But some may not know that or use that or whatever. And, I'm guessing she didn't have any type of alarm clock thing in her bedroom, which is fine because many people don't. And so but how did she receive the message? Was it a note on the door, under the door? Was it a sticky note? She write on her bathroom mirror about it? Like, how did Rocky receive this message about her not having her phone and to wake her up? I would like to know that. On paragraph 27, when I went to wake Amber in the morning, I opened her bedroom door and I saw that there was shattered glass all over the floor. I stopped where I was. I saw that a lamp was broken and that pictures had been ripped down from the walls. I made my way carefully around the broken glass and climbed into Amber's bed and gently woke her. We watched a video that I had put together for her. At this point, Amber started crying and said that Johnny had got really bad again. She told him that it really hurt her feelings that he had been so late to the party. She said he became defensive and started yelling at her. She said that the fight escalated and that during the argument he had thrown her phone out the window and she had also thrown his phone out the window. I suggested that she take a shower whilst I made some coffee for her downstairs. We spent the first part of the day trying to locate Johnny's phone, postponing our trip until we did so. Eventually, with the help of someone from Johnny's security team named Starling Jenkins, we were able to recover it. I also took some photographs of the damage on my phone after that. We got ready and left on our trip. So, glass around the bed. And then, here, Rocky basically backs up what Starling Jenkins had said, that it was the next day when he got there that he found out about the phone being thrown out the window and that they were trying to find it. That is what Rocky says too. But Amber said that, oh no, it was found like immediately, like within a few hours. That's when you got two people saying it and you're the only one that's saying otherwise, probably is not true. Now let's watch part of her deposition. Here we have Rocky's deposition from January 2022. Now, she has had to sit for quite a few of these depositions in the last 6 years, and I'm sure that stinks because she's having to do all this because of her ex-best friend, and she's tired of him. You can tell she's just done with all this. She's tired of all this nonsense. Like, she just wants to be left alone. She is not involved with either one of them anymore, and she just wants it to end. But here is something she said in regards to Amber's birthday.
Richard had 2 dogs at the time, correct?
At the time of this?
Yes.
Yes.
And do you recall where the dogs were when you were in the bedroom with Miss Heard on April 22nd, 2016? Miss Heard had 2 dogs at the time, correct?
At the time of this?
Yes.
Yes.
And do you recall where the dogs were when you were in the bedroom with Miss Heard on April 22nd, 2016?
In the bed.
Were you concerned about the dogs injuring themselves on the glass?
Yes.
Did she look upset?
When I arrived?
Okay, so not a big clip right there about her birthday. But she was worried about the dogs, which is a lot more than Amber herself, because Amber was not worried about the dogs. So that is very interesting that Rocky is more concerned about the dogs and stepping on glass and stuff than Amber was. And so that is where part 4 is going to end, and we will pick up for part 5 and the final part in the debunking of Elaine's UK fact-finding PowerPoint that she put together. And I'm sorry it has taken so long. There has been some funky things happening with my computer in regards to storage and stuff. For some reason, it just all keeps getting messed up and I have to keep redoing parts. But the next one will be up shortly, and I thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.